welcome to the Corporate Talk. Today, I have a pleasure to have Lou Reyes from the channel Over 50 TV. He's the creator of the YouTube channel, and I'm really, really happy to have you here, Lou.
Thank you very much, Carol. Thanks for inviting me.
Lou, let's talk a little bit about your channel. So what was your motivation to start the YouTube channel Above 50 TV? You talk about tips of career, retirement tips, and
hmm
also life quality and balance for people over 50.
Sure.
So what inspired you? What drove you to this?
Well, there was actually a few different things. One is I owned a chain of business-to-business magazines. I also owned a weekly newspaper. I owned a couple national trade show companies. So, plus I ran a political action committee. So I did a lot of things that involved the media. So
Mhm.
I'm pretty comfortable working in media. I'm also comfortable working with social media. I'm comfortable working with technology. Um, so I had the background, and I started Over 50 TV because I found one of my friends. His dad was 2 years away from retirement. His dad was fired from his job because he was considered obsolete. So
Okay.
I remember my buddy coming home or actually came over to my house, and he told me his dad just got fired. His dad's devastated. His dad was, I think he was 2 years away from retirement. I actually think he was like 62 or 63. And his father started drinking very heavily. Because he couldn't find another job. He couldn't take care of his family, couldn't support, his kids. And he ended up becoming an alcoholic, drinking heavily, and he ended up dying.
Mm.
So I decided after that, it was in the back of my mind. And then when I decided I wanted to tell that story, it just became logical to create a YouTube channel that advocated for older workers. And it's expanded a bit. I also talk about retirement, give retirement tips. And then I talk a lot about careers, a lot about side hustles. But that's what the inspiration was. I had the background, had the knowledge, and I had a childhood friend whose dad lost his job.
And interesting, I think I admire a lot that you came from a challenge, a problem, a serious problem, and
Yeah.
a sad moment, and then you brought into bringing light, inspiration to others
hmm
to not go for this path. So it's very inspiring. We need
Thank
to
you.
learn more to do that, right? With all the challenges and problems we see, right?
Well, when you're starting a business, any kind of a business, you want to start something that I just interviewed someone yesterday for my YouTube channel. She's an African American woman. She's 52, 53 years old, and she's starting a business that supports other African American business owners. And that's her passion, that's her niche. It's something she knows and she understands. So it's natural for her, just like me. It was natural for me to do what I'm doing because, I'm a little older and I have had an experience with a friend. She's starting a business doing something she knows, she loves, she understands. So, yeah, it really helps us to do that when we're starting anything.
Yeah, that's true. And I think by experience, we can give much more light and support others that might be passing through some challenges that
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't know. That's really nice. And in your YouTube, I really like the videos. I feel very
Thank you.
inspired. And also I have 10 years to 50, but I'm already looking into it. And one of the videos that highlighted for me was you were mentioning about early retirement, that you recommend about the early retirement. Could you explore a little bit? Could you
Sure.
share a little bit of your tips?
Sure. Well, what's interesting too is that the YouTube analytics, which is a measure of it's a demographics basically.
Yeah.
It shows that probably about 27, 28% of my audience is the age of 45 years old and up. Uh,
Oh.
45 to 50, I think 45 to 55, and then the rest of it is in terms of over that age. You get a lot of young people too for whatever reason. But one of the things that I thought was to talk to folks about retiring early if they can put themselves in a position to retire early, just because it makes a lot of sense for a person. Again, if you're in a position to enjoy your life, to maybe do the things that you want to do, things that you dreamed about doing, but just never could get around to doing it. For me, that's the biggest reason to retire early if you can, is just to do the things that you really want to do. And so many of us, we have these dreams, we have these hopes, and we want to do something different, but we don't
Mhm.
dare do it because we're on that treadmill, and just going around and around and
That's
around.
true.
So I'm a person who says, okay, maybe most of us or a lot of us can't retire early, but put yourself in a position to retire early by saving, by investing. The best way to do this, though, or the third leg, is not just investing. To me, it's not even just people say, well, I'm going to cut my expenses, so I'm going to save there. So we're saving, we're investing, but I think the third leg is to consider starting a side business and building that up. Um, I have a YouTube channel. It's monetized. I make money off my YouTube channel. I also have, customers who hear about me, people who hear about me. I do a lot of business consulting, business startup consulting. And so I've developed that revenue stream. And I'm saying to other people, develop a revenue stream that aligns with your knowledge and your experience and monetize it. So yeah,
That's
that's my
true.
my belief anyway.
And I think probably the young people are also looking into it, also to your channel, also to look in advance, so
Hmm.
to plan their lives, because I think early retirement is the dream of everyone, right?
Sure, sure. It's a
Yeah,
dream of, yeah, it's a dream of a lot of people. Someone like me who never wants to retire probably never will retire, but it's because I do what I love to do. And if
yeah,
you build your channel up, you build your business up, and you love it, well, you know what? You might want to do it till you're 80 years old. You said you're 10 years away from 50, but maybe you get to 70 and you're thinking, hey, I love this, and by that
true.
point your channel's built, you're making a lot of money, and you're saying, well, why not just continue doing it? So yeah.
That's true. That's true. That's nice. And let's talk about a little bit of the people who are in the 50 plus
Hmm.
and they are willing to change their career, to shift their career. Is there still a space, a place, and how can they suddenly make this shift or change the route they were taking until now?
um that's a good question. To me, it's easy. I mean, I think it's easy to do. I do. I think it's easy to do, but it's hard to make the commitment to do it. So it's easy to
Hmm.
do, but a lot of folks don't want to make a commitment to doing it. And whether they're believing, uh, I'm doing a video. It's coming. It'll be out next. Well, maybe I think it's this weekend. I've got it scheduled. But I have a video that talks about when we surround ourselves with people that are not um, inspirational, they're not motivated. So when we're around folks who kind of just like don't give us that inspiration and tell us no, don't do something, then we don't do it. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm always looking for me, and I don't know if this is really going to be answering your question, but what I'm trying to say is that we can do anything that we want to do, but we have to make the decision to do it. And we have to surround ourselves with folks who believe in us, who will give us that inspiration. And if you don't have somebody around you like that, then you need to get rid of them. I know I got criticized for saying that one time from a bunch of folks who said, well, what if you're married to somebody, you have a significant other, and they don't believe in you, they don't support you? They're saying I was advocating divorce, which wasn't the case. I was saying, you know what, you made that decision. You got to find a way to get that person on board. Um, but yeah, I just think that the main point is to, if you're going to be doing anything, you just got to get the support that you need to do it. It's not hard to do. It's just hard to make the decision to do it. So I guess that answers the
Yeah.
question, I think.
Yeah, it answers. And actually, we see a lot of stories of people who succeed after some age, right?
Hmm.
And they shift their careers, they conquer something, or they open a new business, or open a channel, a YouTube channel,
Hmm.
or started to do investments. So my father retired, and now he invests,
Good.
and actually makes more money in that than the retirement money itself, right?
Yeah, I believe it.
And yeah, and I think it's just a matter about willing. So I agree with you. When we really want something, there's so many opportunities out there. I think it's also we have to be a little bit bold to do things beyond what we were used to. So if
Yeah.
it's just about finding a job through LinkedIn online, but then suddenly we see there are other possibilities. We can see something around us or people we know, our network, our clubs, and so
Hmm.
on, that we can network is also a great value, that we can exactly find the ones who are going to push us up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
To conquer more and more. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you mentioned your father, and he's retired and he's making more money than he was making when he was working. And maybe part of that reason sometimes I find is that we're able to focus. Now we're doing something we enjoy, we like, and then we're able to focus on it. We don't have a distraction.
that's true.
So that, I mean, I don't know that that's the case, but I know that from what I've seen, when you're able to do the things that you love and you focus on doing the thing you love, things usually have a weird way of working out.
That's true. That's true. And I always heard, since my beginning of my career, I have it now 19 years work career. I still have a lot more,
Yeah,
but
you do.
I still have. And I always heard that we have to find our passion when we work, because if we just wait until we retire and then do things that we love, it's too late.
Hmm.
I think it needs to be a balance as well, right? Of course, we have to work. We need money to
Yeah,
survive, to
sure.
conquer things, and so on. But then we can find. I really like your video, for example, that you bring tips about extra money, extra incomes we can have beyond our jobs,
Hmm.
and then maybe there can even become a higher payment in the future. We don't know, right? In the
Oh
long
yeah,
term.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
that's it.
it's just a question of really, to me, and I've been, I mean, when I owned a chain of business to business magazines, I already said that, but I got to meet hundreds and hundreds of business owners. I've met, I mean, very wealthy people. I've met people who are just, working in an office, working behind a machine. Um, but I think that just, for all of us, it's as if we want to do something, if you really have a dream, work on it today, and you can maybe be one of those wealthy people. If you're working behind a machine or working in an office, maybe you can be one if that's what you want. But it's a
True.
question. It really is a question. I mean, anything and everything in my mind is just from what I've learned from a lot of folks who are successful financially and maybe successful in life and not successful financially. But anybody I know who is successful in general made a commitment early, and then worked towards that goal.
True. And I think it's always about what makes the person happy, right? Because
Hmm.
every person is so different.
Sure.
My example, I can have a routine, but I like different challenges. I like problems to solve. I like to learn. So this constant learning for me is what most motivates me. If
Sure.
it's stable, then I need to create problem to solve. So I need to find out.
Yeah.
And I remember a colleague of work, she already retired, but she was close to retiring. And she said, "Oh, what I love about my job is that there is nothing changed. Everything is the same since 30 years that she was working for the company. She
Hmm.
was waiting for the retirement to have more time. But what she loves is that she wakes up the same time, go to work in the same time, go back home in the same time, and do the same things.
Hmm.
And this is interesting because are two perspectives. I like the problem and the changes and the challenges and the different routine. different pace, and
Oh,
for her, no. So she's stable, and I think it's also fine, right? And
yeah.
these
Well,
differences, yeah.
I think I think that it's interesting that you said that because I find myself kind of the same way too for a long time. It's I need challenges and I need education. I need to learn, and I read constantly, every day, every single day, maybe an hour or two every day. I read, books to learn,
Mhm.
things that are going to help me. But I like having a goal, figuring out how I'm going to get to that goal and then sticking to that plan. And then when you hit that goal, like right now, I'm doing that event. The event is for careers. It's called the Power of 50 Career Summit. This is not a plug at all.
Nice.
This event's not till September, but I've got this goal. I want to sell or raise a certain amount of dollars, so I have to plan how I'm going to get there. So, in some ways, I've developed in my plan. It's a routine. I read for an hour every morning, sometimes two. I get ready to make my cold calls, on the phone. I go out, knock on doors, cold calling. I bring in business. I have a goal. And so that's kind of like my routine for what I
Okay.
do in my life. But it's how I think I've been able to build businesses that generated millions of dollars a year in sales is because of that. But I'm not like
That's
a lot of other folks have
okay.
done the same thing. I'm not anything special.
Yeah, that's interesting, Lou, and congratulations for this.
Thank you.
And a question I have, going back to the topic of retirement, do you see people making mistakes in their retirement plan, and which time of our lives we should start to plan that? Because sometimes it's already too late, right? Let the life goes, and then we see, oh, it's too late. Now I didn't plan something else. I think all over the world, we see that the public retirement money is going down, and and it's not enough, right, to keep a life that we have, a lifestyle, for example.
Yeah.
So, what do you see the big mistakes people are making this?
Um, well, that's that there's a video, one video just in answering that question, but I'll try to condense it as much as I can. Um, your question is, what mistakes are people making now, and not being prepared for retirement? Am I understanding that right?
Yes,
Sort of.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think immediately you have to start saving and investing. You don't know if you're going to lose your job tomorrow, then you're going to have to take that money you saved and invested to live on. You can't think about it. You have to just look at today and save and invest. The biggest mistake that people make is they're not planning ahead. Now, I understand. I follow the economy pretty much, probably more than the average person maybe. So I know a lot about interest rates, or I know about inflation. I observe. But what I'm saying is, you can't let any of that bother you. If
Hmm.
Carol, if you're making $100 today or $100 this week, put aside, $10 or $7. Put aside $5. I got a famous book on investing. Can't remember the name of it right now, but I read a lot. I read so many books. But the point being is that book says what I believe is whatever you can invest, save today and invest. The S&P 500, invest in that. I mean, look at what the returns that's getting. The biggest mistake people do is they think I can't save because I'm barely able to pay my bills. Save a dollar,
Hmm.
save
Yeah.
$2, but save something every day or every week, and you'll be surprised if the miracle of compound interest, what it can give you. That's the biggest error I see. And I see people all the time who don't
Hmm.
have any retirement. And what is it, 25% of people in the US? I think you're in Germany, I think. But
Hmm.
in the US, what I know is what I've seen numbers, and it's always fluctuating a little bit, but you're looking at about, 22%, 25% in that range who have no retirement savings for whatever reason.
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
save if you can. I mean, and I seen save a dollar, save a penny.
And I think saving is also about avoiding to buy something, right? We don't
Yeah.
need to have the latest cell phone that has been launched, the latest car, or the wardrobe so full. I think that's also a problem in the society today, right? Especially the new generation.
Hmm.
They want to buy, having the new things, and that's not the way it's supposed to go, right?
Well, they I mean, there's such a thing as, like rewarding yourself, I suppose, after, like in retirement. If you want to go out and buy a big thing, you better have the money, maybe pay cash for it. But you bring up great points. I mean, there's a lot of folks out there, and I see older people too that do that. They
Hmm.
go, they retire, they get that big chunk of money for whatever, they cash out something and they go buy a big house or a new car. So it's not just young people that maybe are somewhat irrational, is the way I'll describe it. A lot of people,
Hmm.
there's many people do it. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's not a
It's a
good
kind of
idea.
a society pressure, right? The pressure should be another one, like how much we are investing and not how much we have or to show to others. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
Let's, yeah, I think this impacts a little bit about the topic I want to bring is about life quality.
Hmm.
So, how do you have recommendations or a view for the people over 50 to improve their life quality? Because I also see also from my family itself, um, we have a very fuzzy, busy life moment. And then when it gets close to the retirement, that stress or the car traffic, it's gone. They stress, all the meetings slow down and so on. And this, I think the body, it's kind of used to the adrenaline, right? And
Yeah.
then when that makes a break, then I think it changes completely, and also the person starts to feel lost. Or so, how do you see this life quality after 50, and also after 60, after retirement, that the person can bring it now? Yeah.
I'll just give you this quick little story. Yesterday, a relative passed away. I'm not yesterday. He passed away a few days ago. The celebration of life was yesterday. In that celebration, the preacher got up in front of the group, all the people. He got up and he talked about Larry. Larry's the gentleman who passed away. And Larry was just a happy man, very smart. He had an injury I think, from his job years ago, and he just slowed down. He just decided to take a breath and slow down. And the whole celebration was about he was just happy with every single day of his life. He didn't lose his temper. He wasn't a guy who, I mean, he was a guy you could go to and talk to if you had a problem. He was one of those very special people where you could just sit down with him and just know he was just happy because you know what? He had no pressure on him. He had done what he needed to do in his life. He felt he was at a place now where he could just be that wise older guy who could sit down and read when he wanted to. They talked about he would watch cars go by, just watch the traffic go by, take a long walk, sit down on the side of the road wherever, on a chair, on a log, whatever, and just watch. So when you ask the question, about life balance, I think it's all about what makes you happy. But try to take that stress out of your life at all cases. We can't be worried about. You can't let things bother you. I mean, it's easier said than done. And I'm not, I've been around the block a little bit. I understand that there's pressures and all this stuff, but I also understand that if you really want to be happy, I think that you just got to make the decisions that are best for you and live with those decisions. And that's what Larry did. He lived with his decisions. He retired somewhat early. He was financially able to retire and he just watched the world go by and admired the world and people admired him. I don't know if that answers your
Wow.
question.
We have to learn then with Larry
Yeah.
to enjoy today and admire life today, the family we have and the
Hmm.
people are together. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing this story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I love to also collect more stories. You already mentioned very nice stories in this call. Do you have any success stories from followers, from your audience, that from your video, did they share some inspirations, what they turn in their lives? And
Yeah. I
yeah,
get um I get every week hundreds of comments on my videos. I've got a library of over 500 videos. I've got 2 YouTube channels, over 50 TVs, got over 500 videos, two almost 2.2 million views, thousands and thousands of comments, and something I can share with you. A story now is the same story that I hear from a lot of folks. There's a lot of people who are not so happy with their life, but there are people like today. When I read, somebody told me he got let go from his job. I don't remember how old he was. He was older, but not, 80, 90. He got let go from his job. He said, Lou, everything worked out because my wife and I were frugal, we saved, and we invested. So even though I lost my job, I think he was in his 50s actually. And I think he said he's 70 now, in that range. I'm not quite sure on that,
mhm.
but the comments on a recent video, so it's easy to find. He said he was frugal, they saved, they invested, and now he said he's very happy with retirement because that's what he did. And that story, I get that a lot from folks who were frugal, they saved, they invested, and now, you know what? They don't want anything. They've got food, they got groceries, they got a roof over their head. One guy told me, two, his house is paid off. He worked for the railroad, I think he said, here in the US. He, saved his money, paid off his house, and now he's enjoying his retirement. So those
That's
are stories I
amazing.
hear all the time.
Yeah. Then, and it's good to inspire from those stories, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
that's very nice. Thank you for sharing. And
sure,
what is the future? I think as a closure from this very nice talk,
sure.
what is the future from your channel? Do you have any plans or projects that you're excited about that you can share with us?
Um, that's a good question. You know what? I'm reading a book called by Tim Grover. He was a guy who taught some of the greatest basketball players. Was a instructor, fitness instructor, counselor to some of the best basketball players in the world, including Michael Jordan and a whole lot of other folks. And he says, when it comes to plans and goals, he says just his recommendation is no goals, just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's my intention, is to keep pushing and pushing. I don't do it for the money. It's nice to have money, but it's nicer for me to have a goal, to push for it, to achieve it, and then keep pushing for more. A lot of folks will disagree with that, but that's just what makes me happy. So
That's nice. Thank you. Thank you, Lou. And thank you
sure.
so much for this talk. I think it was very inspiring. I will bring your website here in the description of the video
Thank
and
you.
also share so then everyone can enjoy more and be inspired from your tips and recommendations from your video.
Thank you very much, Carol. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And thank you for your time. And we see us next time.
See you later. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.